Società Sportiva Calcio Napoli, commonly referred to as Napoli, is a professional Italian football club based in Naples and founded in 1926. The club has spent most of its history in Serie A, where it currently plays its 2013 Euro 14 season. Napoli has won Serie A twice, in 1986 Euro 87 and 1989 Euro 90. They have also won the Coppa Italia 5 times and the Supercoppa Italiana, and on the European stage have won the UEFA Cup in 1988 Euro 89. Napoli is also the most successful club in southern Italy and the fourth most supported football club in Italy. The club is ranked as the fifth most valuable football club in Serie A in terms of annual revenue, generating a $116.4 million during the 2013 financial year. The club has had several name changes since first appearing in 1926. The most important of these was in 1964, when it was changed from Associazione Calcio Napoli to Società Sportiva Calcio Napoli. The most recent change was in 2004, when the club went bankrupt but was refounded by film producer Aurelio De Laurentiis as Napoli Soccer. He restored the name to Società Sportiva Calcio Napoli 2 years later. The bankruptcy of the club in 2004 had seen it placed in the third division of Italian football, but progress of the reformed club was swift and after just 3 years it returned to Serie A. Napoli is also one of the associate members of the European Club Association, an organization that replaced the previous G14 which consists of major football clubs in Europe. According to Deloitte Football Money League, Napoli is ranked the 15th richest football club in the world. The club's anthem is O Soldato Innamorato. History. For more details on this topic, see History of Ssc Napoli. The first club was founded as Naples Football and Cricket Club in 1904 by English sailor William Pothes and his associate Hector M. Bayon. Neapolitans such as Conforti, Caterina and Amedeo Salsi were also involved, the latter of whom was the club's first president. The original kit of the club was a sky blue and navy blue striped shirt, with black shorts. The name of the club was shortened to Naples Football Club in 1906. Early into its existence, the Italian Football Championship was limited to just northern clubs, so southern clubs competed against sailors or in cups such as Thomas Lipton's Lipton Challenge Cup. In the cup competed between Naples and Palermo FBC, Naples won 3 finals. The foreign contingent at the club broke off in 1912 to form Internazionale Napoli, in time for both clubs' debut in the Italian Championship of 1912 Euro 13. Though the sides had a keen rivalry in the Campania section, they were not as successful outside of it and a few years after World War I, they merged as Football Club Internazionale Naples, also known as FBC Internaples. Associazione Calcio Napoli. Under the presidency of Giorgio Ascarelli, the club changed its name to Associazione Calcio Napoli on August 23, 1926. After a poor start, with a sole point in an entire championship, Napoli was readmitted to Serie A's forerunner National Division by the Italian FA, and began to improve thanks in part to Paraguayan-born Attila Salistro, who was the first fully-fledged hero to the fans. He was a capable goal-scorer and eventually set the all-time goal-scoring record for Napoli, which still stands today. Napoli entered the Serie A era under the management of William Garbett. During his 6-year stint, the club would be dramatically transformed, frequently finishing in the top half of the table. This included 2 third-place finishes during the 1932 Euro 33 and 1933 Euro 34 seasons, with added notables such as Antonio Verjak, Arnaldo Sentimenti and Carlo Buscaglia. For the years leading up to World War II Napoli went into decline, surviving relegation in 1939 Euro 40 by goal average. Napoli lost a closely contested relegation battle at the end of 1942 and were relegated to Serie B. They moved from Stadio Giorgio Ascarelli to Stadio Arturo Colana and stayed in Serie B until after the war. When play continued, Napoli earned the right to compete in Serie A, but were relegated after 2 seasons for a bribery scandal. The club bounced back to ensure top-flight football at the start of the 1950s. Napoli moved to their new home ground Stadio San Paolo in 1959. Despite erratic league form with highs and lows during this period, including a further relegation and promotion, Napoli had some cup success when they beat SPAL to lift the Coppa Italia in 1962, with goals from Gianni Corelli and Pierluigi Ronzin. Their fourth relegation cut celebrations short the following season. Napoli on the rise, Maradona era. As the club changed their name to Società Sportiva Calcio Napoli on June 25, 1964, they began to rise up again, gaining promotion in 1964 Euro 65. Under the management of former player Bruno Pesala, they won the Coppa dell'Alpi and were back amongst the elite in Serie A, with consistent top 5 finishes. Napoli came very close to winning the league in 1967 Euro 68, finishing just behind AC Milan in second place. Some of the most popular players from this period were Dino Zoff, Jose Copyright Altafni, Omar Zavori, and hometown midfielder Antonio Giuliano. Giuliano would eventually break the appearance records, which still stands today. The trend of Napoli performing well in the league continued into the 1970s, with third-place spots in 1970 Euro 71 and 1973 Euro 74. Under the coaching of former player Luis Finocchio, this gained them entry into the early UEFA Cup competitions. In 1974 Euro 75 they reached the third round, knocking out Porto 2 Euro 0 on the way. During the same season, Napoli finished second in Serie A, just 2 points behind champions Juventus. Solid performances from locally born players such as Bruscolotti, Giuliano and Esposito were relied upon during this period, coupled with goals from Giuseppe Savoldi. After beating Southampton for Euro 1 on aggregate to lift the Anglo-Italian League Cup, Napoli were entered into the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup for 1976 Euro 77, where they reached the semi-finals, losing to Euro 1 on aggregate to Anderlecht. The club won their second Coppa Italia trophy in 1975 Euro 76, knocking out Milan and Fiorentina en route, before beating rivals Verona for Euro 0 in the final. In terms of the Italian league, Napoli was still very much a consistent top 6 side for much of the late 1970s. Even into the earliest 2 seasons of the 1980s, the club were performing respectably with a third-place finish in 1980 Euro 81. However, by 1983 they had slipped dramatically and were involved in relegation battles. Napoli broke the world transfer record fee, turning to Diego Maradona with a $12 million deal from Barcelona on June 30, 1984. The squad was gradually rebuilt, with the likes of Ciro Ferrara, Salvatore Bernai, and Fernando de Napoli filling the ranks. The rise up the tables was gradual. By 1985 Euro 86, they had a third-place finish under their belts, but better was yet to come. The 1986 Euro 87 season was the landmark in Napoli's history. They won the double, securing the Serie A title by 3 points and then beating Atalanta for Euro 0 to lift the Coppa Italia. Because a mainland southern Italian team had never won the league before, this turned Diego Maradona into a cultural, social and borderline religious icon for Neapolitans, which stretched beyond the realms of just football. The club were unsuccessful in the European Cup in the following season and finished runners-up in Serie A. However, Napoli were entered into the UEFA Cup for 1988 to Euro 89 and won their first major European title. Juventus, Bayern Munich, and PAOK were defeated on the way to the final, where Napoli beat Stuttgart 5 Euro 4 on aggregate, with 2 goals from Kerk and 1 each from Maradona, Ferrara and Alama Poundo. Napoli added their second Serie A title in 1989 Euro 90, beating Milan by 2 points in the title race. However, this was surrounded by less auspicious circumstances as Napoli were awarded 2 points for a game, when in Bergamo, an Atalanta fan threw a £100 lira coin at Alama Poundo's head. A controversial set of events set off at the 1990 World Cup, when Maradona made comments pertaining to North-South inequality in the country and the Risorgimento, asking Neapolitans to root for Argentina in the semi-finals against Italy in Naples. São Paulo was the only stadium during the competition where the Argentine national anthem wasn't jeered, Maradona bowed to the Napoli fans at the end and his country went on to reach the final. However, after the final the Italian Football Federation forced Maradona to take a doping test, which he failed, testing positive for cocaine. Both Maradona and Napoli staff later claimed it was a revenge plot for events at the World Cup. Maradona was banned for 15 months and would never play for the club again. The club still managed to win the Supercoppa Italiana that year, with a record 5-1 victory against Juventus, but it would be their last major trophy for 22 years. In the European Cup, however, they went out in the second round. Decline and rebirth. Though the club finished fourth during the 1991 Euro 92 season, Napoli gradually went into decline after that season, both financially and on the field. Players such as Gianfranco Zola, Daniel Fonseca, Ciro Ferrara and Keke had all departed by 1994. Nonetheless, Napoli did manage to qualify for the 1994 Euro 95 UEFA Cup, reaching the third round, and in 1996 Euro 97, Napoli appeared at the Coppa Italia final, but lost 3-1 to Vicenza. Napoli's league form had dropped lower, and relegation to Serie B came at the end of 1997 Euro 98 when they recorded only 3 wins all season. The club returned to Serie A after gaining promotion in the 1999 Euro 2000 season, though after a closely contested relegation battle, they were relegated immediately back down the following season. They failed to gain promotion following this and slipped further down. The failed 2001 Euro 02 Serie B campaign was costly. The cost of production was €70,895,838, just about a 10 million fewer than in 2000 Euro 01 Serie A, heavily due to the high amortization of the player asset. However, value of production was just at €21,183,736 and the net loss was at €28,856,093 that season. Net asset on June 30, 2002 was at €2,166,997, already including about a $20 million recapitalization. The club once quoted the law February 21, 2003 number 27 to lower the amortization expense by extending the amortization period beyond the contract length of players to 10 years, which some players' contract was amortized in special way for a $4,660,123 only and the rest for a $1,659,088 in 2002 Euro 03. However, the cost of production was still exceed the value of production for a $19,071,218. In 2002 Euro 03. By August 2004, Napoli was declared bankrupt with debts estimated up to $70 million. To secure football in the city, film producer Aurelio De Laurentiis refounded the club under the name Napoli Soccer, as they were not allowed to use their old name. FIGC placed Napoli in Serie C1, where they missed out on promotion after losing 2-1 in playoffs to local rivals Avellino and 2004 Euro 05 Serie C1. Despite the fact that Napoli were playing in such a low division, they retained higher average attendances than most of the Serie A clubs, breaking the Serie C attendance record with 51,000 at one game. The following season, they secured promotion to Serie B and De Laurentiis brought back the club's history, restoring its name to Società Sportiva Calcio Napoli in May 2006. After just one season back in Serie B, they were promoted on the final day, along with fellow sleeping giants Genoa. Napoli finished the season placed 8th in the Serie A, enough to secure a place in the Intertoto Cup third round. The 2008 Euro 09 season saw Napoli qualify for the UEFA Cup via the Intertoto Cup. The team was eliminated in the first round, however, by Portuguese team Benfica. At the domestic level, Napoli made a very impressive start, proposing as one of the main candidates for a Champions League spot. Results and performances, however, quickly declined in mid-season, causing Napoli to fall down to 11th place in the league table, which led to the dismissal of manager Edi Rivalries in March 2009, with former Italy manager Roberto Donadoni being appointed as his replacement. Despite reinforcements in the summer transfer window, Napoli began the 2009 Euro 10 season with a number of poor results. After a 2-1 loss to Roma in October 2009, Donadoni was relieved of his duties and replaced by former Sampdoria manager Walter Mazzarri. Under Mazzarri, Napoli climbed up the table, finishing in 6th place to qualify for a Europa League spot. Napoli, under Mazzarri's guidance reinforced by players such as Edinson Cavani, spent part of the 2010 Euro 11 season in the 2nd place, finishing 3rd and qualifying directly to the group phase of the 2011 Euro 12 UEFA Champions League. In the 2011 Euro 12 season, Napoli ended in 5th place in Serie A, but managed to defeat unbeaten champions Juventus in the Stadio Olimpico to win the Coppa Italia for the 4th time in the club's history, 25 years after their last cup win. Star striker Edinson Cavani scored from a penalty kick in the 63rd minute and Meir Karma equal or more than K decided the game in the 83rd minute. Napoli also had a successful season in the Champions League, its first participation in the European Cup since the 1990 Euro 91 season. The team finished 2nd in its group behind Bayern Munich, and ahead of Manchester City, progressing to the round of 16, where it was knocked out by eventual winners Chelsea. In 2012 Euro 13, Napoli finished in 2nd place in Serie A, the club's best performance since winning the 1989 Euro 90 Scudetto. Edinson Cavani finished as top scorer in the division with 29 goals, which resulted in him being sold to Paris Saint-Germain for a club record fee of £57 million. In the 2013 close season, Walter Mazzarri left Napoli to become coach of Internazionale, and was replaced by Spaniard Rafael Benitez, who became the club's first foreign coach since Diné Zeman in 2000. The money from selling Cavani went towards signing 3 Real Madrid players Gonzalo Higuain, Raúl Albiol and Jose Copyright Caller Jacob Den Euro, and other players including Dries Mertens and Pepe Reina. They finished the season by winning the 2014 Coppa Italia final, their 5th title in the tournament, with a 3-1 win against Fiorentina with 2 goals from Lorenzo Insigne and another from Mertens, as well as qualifying for the Champions League by finishing 3rd in Serie A players, first team squad. As of July 1, 2014, note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Out on loan, note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Co-ownership, note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Primavera squad, as of January 31, 2014, note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Primavera loans, note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Retired numbers. 10 Euro Diego Maradona, second striker, 1984 Euro 91. In the summer of 2000 Napoli retired the jersey number 10 belonged to former club legend Diego Armando Maradona who played for the club from 1984 to 1991, as a tribute to his class and to the significant contribution made in the 7 seasons with the shirt of Napoli. In order, the last players to wear number 10 were Fausto Pizzi, Beto, Igor Botti in 1997. Euro 1998 was the last player to play and score a goal with the number 10 shirt in Serie A, and Claudio Bellacchi in 1998. Euro 1999 and 1999. Euro 2000 in Serie B. However, for regulatory reasons, the number was reissued on blue shirts 2004 to 2006 Serie C1, a tournament where there is the old numbering from 1 to 11. The last player to wear a sign and goals with this shirt in an official match was Mariano Bogliacchino in the home match of May 18, 2006 against Spezia, valid for the final leg of the Supercoppa di Lega Serie C1. Primacy belongs to him also for last appearance in the championship, May 12, 2006 at the home race of Lanciano. As regards exclusively the championship, however, goes to the Argentine footballer Roberto Sosa, the distinction of being the last to wear the 10 at the São Paulo and at the same time to score in the match against Frosinone on April 30, 2006. Notable players. Current coaching, technical and administrative staff. Last updated, July 26, 2013. Source, @ssc Napoli. Presidents. Below is the official presidential history of Napoli, from when Giorgio Ascarelli took over at the club in 1926, until the present day. Napoli has had many managers and trainers, some seasons they have had co-managers running the team. Here is a chronological list of them from 1926 onwards. Managers, statistics and records. Giuseppe Bruscolotti holds Napoli's official appearance record, having made 511 over the course of 16 years from 1972 until 1988. Antonio Giuliano holds the record for league appearances with 394 over the course of 16 years from 1962 until 1978. The all-time leading goalscorer for Napoli is Diego Armando Maradona, with 115 league goals scored. He finished the season of Serie A as the league's top scorer, known in Italy as the Capocannoniere, in the 1987 Euro 88 season with 15 goals. The record for most goals in the league belongs to Attila Salistro, with 106 goals, while the maximum scorer in Serie A is Antonio Verjak, with 102 goals. The record for most goals in a single tournament maximum number belongs to Edinson Cavani, with 29 goals scored in the season 2012 Euro 2013. The biggest ever victory recorded by Napoli was 8 Euro 1 against Pro Patria, in the 1955 Euro 56 season of Serie A. Napoli's heaviest championship defeat came during the 1927 Euro 28 season when eventual champions Torino beat them 11 Euro 0. Below are appearance and goal-scoring records pertaining to Napoli players of all time. Still active players in bold, as of May 18, 2014, colors, badge and nicknames. As Naples is a coastal city, the colors of the club have always been derived from the blue waters of the Gulf of Naples. Originally, while using the name Naples FBC, the colors of the club implemented two shades of blue. Since the 1920s, however, a singular blue tone has been used in the form of azure. As thus they share the nickname Azzurri with the Italian national side. One of the nicknames of Napoli is I Cucciarelli, which means the little donkeys in the local dialect. They were given this name after a particularly poor performance during the 1926 Euro 27 season. It was originally meant to be derogatory, as the Neapolitan symbol is a rampant black horse. The club however adopted the donkey as a mascot called Osigxio, displaying it with pride. The club badge Napoli are most famous for is a large N placed within a circle. This crest can be traced back to Internazionale Napoli, who used a similar design on their shirts. Since the club officially adopted the N badge as its representative, Napoli have altered it slightly at various times. Sometimes it features the club's name around it, sometimes it does not. The main difference between each badge is the shade of blue used. Usually the N is white, although it has occasionally been gold. Partenope is a popular nickname for the club and people from the city of Naples in general. It is derived from Greek mythology, where the siren Parthena cubed Pa tried to enchant Odysseus from his ship to Capri. In the story, Odysseus had his men tie him to the ship's mast so he was able to resist the song of the siren. As a result, Parthenope, unable to live with the rejection of her love, drowned herself and her body was washed up upon the shore of Naples. Sponsors and manufacturers. Supporters and rivalries. Napoli is the fourth most supported football club in Italy, with around 13% of Italian football fans supporting the club. Like other top clubs in the country, Napoli's fanbase goes beyond the Italian border. It has been estimated by the club that there are around 6 million fans worldwide. Napoli is reputed to be one of the biggest clubs in Europe, with one of the highest average home attendance in Europe. Rivalries. The Napoli fans have always had bad relations, especially with the teams from the north of Italy. One of the first historical rivalries was with Hellas Verona, and later on in the second half of the 80s rivalry with Inter Milan, Juventus and AC Milan was born. with Napoli who defied the Triad of the North for the title of Champions of Italy. The hostility of the ultras of Napoli with the fans of Lazio comes from the old friendship that Napoli had in the 80s with Roma fans. Napoli fans used to call Roma fans cousins. Friendship then broke after the umbrella gesture of Salvatore Barnai of October 25, 1987, and after that came a very strong rivalry with the Roma. Also there still remain rivalries with Sampdoria, Reggina and also with the Atalanta, Avellino, Bari, Bologna, Brescia, Cagliari, Lecce, Salernitana, Vicenza and Udinese. Other minor rivalry with Foggia, Perugia, Pisa, Pistoiese and Tonana. The derby, unlike other Italian cities such as Genoa, Milan, Rome and Turin, Napoli is the only major football club in the city and therefore there is no derby in the strict sense of the term. Nevertheless, the fans of Napoli do co-star in two particular derbies in Italy against other regional teams. Derby della Campania, a term that refers to the challenges of the Azzurri with the other teams, especially with Avellino and Salernitana. Derby of the Sun, at the height of its popularity in the 70s and 80s, starring Napoli and Roma. Friendships. The twinning between supporters of the clubs Napoli and Genoa Football Club is one of the oldest in Italian football, which started back on May 16, 1982 following a 2-2 draw in Naples between the two teams on the final day of the 1981-1982 Serie A season, a result that allowed the escape of Genoa from relegation and condemned AC Milan for the second time to relegation from Serie A to Serie B in its history. The history and friendship got even stronger for both teams when on the last day of the season in Serie B in the 2006-2007 season when both teams finished with a 0-0 draw at Genoa, ensuring both teams' promotion to Serie A. Genoa ultras could be seen holding up banners saying Benvenuto Fratello Napolitano, meaning welcome, Neapolitan brother. The historic partnership between the two groups of supporters was also honored and supported by marketing initiatives. There is also a strong supporter of friendship with Ancona and there are good relations with the fans of Palermo, Catania and Borussia Dortmund. A sympathy and good friendship was born with supporters of the Romanian football team Universitatea Craiova following the elimination of rivals Steaua Bucharest from the Europa League at the hands of Napoli. Ssc Napoli is a company. Since refounded in 2004, Ssc Napoli had a sustainable management strategy. The club has one of the largest supporting group in Italy, which was the main source of income, in terms of gate revenue and TV rights. Except the first few seasons, Napoli made an aggregate profit in successive years. In 2004 a €05 and 2005 a €06 season the net loss were a €7,061,463 and a €9,088,780. In 2006 a €07 Serie B, Napoli made its first profit of a €1,416,976. The first Serie A season made newborn Napoli had a net profit of €11,911,041. It followed by a net profit of a €10,934,520, due to the income from European matches was offset by the increase in cost. In 2009 a €10 season, Napoli heavily invested on players, made that season had a net profit of just a €343,686. In 2010 a €11 Serie A, Napoli returned to the right track with a €4,197,829 net profit. It was due to the new collective TV rights of Serie A, as well as qualify to 2010 a €11 UEFA Europa League. Napoli shareholder equity on June 30, 2005 was a negative of a €261,466, which the club started from a €3 million capital and recapitalized a €3.8 million during 2004 a €05 Serie C1. On June 30, 2005 the equity was increased to a €211,220, as the net loss was back up by a recapitalization of a €9.3 million plus a €261,466 for previous net loss. On June 30, 2007 the equity was increased to a €1,961,975, due to the net profit and a recapitalized of a €288,780. On June 30, 2008 the equity was increased to $13,829,015 with a capital increase of just a $1,000. The net income contributed the increase in equity on June 30, 2009, which was at $24,763,537. On June 30, 2010 the equity was at a $25,107,223. On June 30, 2011 the equity was increased to a $29,305,052. Though less than a $17 million equity contribution in total from Filmoro, Napoli achieved self-sustainability by good management and its large fans base. Honours, national titles, Serie A. Winners, 1986 a Euro 87, 1989 a Euro 90, runners-up, 1967 a Euro 68, 1974 a Euro 75, 1987 a Euro 88, 1988 a Euro 89, 2012 a Euro 13. Coppa Italia. Winners, 1961 a Euro 62, 1975 a Euro 76, 1986 a Euro 87, 2011 a Euro 12, 2013 a Euro 14, runners-up, 1971 a Euro 72, 1977 a Euro 78, 1988 a Euro 89, 1996 a Euro 97. Supercoppa Italiana. Winners, 1990, runners-up, 2012. Serie B. Winners, 1945 a Euro 46, 1949 a Euro 50. Runners-up, 1961 a Euro 62, 1964 a Euro 65, 1999 a Euro 00, 2006 a Euro 07. Serie C1. Winners, 2005 a Euro 06. European titles, UEFA Cup. Winners, 1988 a Euro 89. Anglo-Italian League Cup. Winners, 1976. Coppa italia. Winners, 1966. References. External links, official website.